looks like to have just a little bit of progress and think that you got the victory, but then you stay stuck in cycle after cycle after cycle.
One thing the Israelites gonna do is preach. I feel like we can talk about anything and we can always go back to the Israelites because they were something else. But honestly, in their defense, we do a lot of the same stuff that they do. Yeah, exactly. It just look different, but we do a lot of the same stuff that they do back then today.
Yeah, but it just looks completely...
Exactly. We're not wandering through the wilderness and being rebellious in the wilderness, but we're being rebellious and wandering in our minds and in our everyday lives and our hearts. Yeah.
Literally. And then be mad at God. Okay, I'm going to keep myself together because this part that gets on my nerves just a little bit as a human. And then we be looking at God and we be mad at God because he ain't doing what we want him to do, but we ain't even doing what he asked us to do.
Right. Yeah.
But we mad. Make that one.
It don't make sense. It don't make sense at all.
I couldn't even get it out. You're like, it don't. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Kingdom Prototype, the blueprint for abundant living. I'm your girl Lex.
I'm your girl Jazz.
And welcome back, beautiful people. All right, y'all. We are entering into a new series called Stay Free, where we are talking about how to stay rooted in God and not drift. Because boy,
it's easy.
Okay, it is easy.
You have to really be intentional.
It takes intentionality to stay firmly planted, steadfast, as Auntie was talking about this morning in the Lord. Because once we see just a little bit, I mean a half an inch, a quarter of an inch. What's less than that?
I don't know. But whatever it is, when we see it,
we like, I made it.
Right. Take off.
We are like, I made it. And we then begin to let our guards down. Mm-hmm. And then we begin to drift. But we don't even know that we are drifting.
Right.
And then one day we look up and we like, how I end up?
Yeah. We got to let him finish the work. We got to let him do what he going to do because it's just too easy to drift off. Like, we have to be intentional about staying grounded because there's so many distractions, which I'm getting a little ahead. We'll talk about that, but so many distractions in the world, and it's just easy to fall away.
Yeah, very much so, because I don't know, we're just human.
Right. Yeah, that's real.
We're just human, and things can be so very subtle, and
I feel like that's why God really hone in on keep your mind stayed on me, because he already know how the human mind works. I was just about to say, like, me and Lex was just talking about before we turned the camera on, just like how our minds be all over the place, and we really have to be intentional about staying grounded.
Come back.
So
right. Come back, thoughts.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much so. It's a skill. Mm-hmm. And if we want to get therapeutic, right? Like, it's that mindfulness skill where we are intentional about being present in the moment with what is going on, with us. I know far too often. Okay, I like literally, you drive and you're not present when you're driving because you're thinking,
and you be like, how did I even make it home?
Be like, praise the Lord,
right? Because the whole time my mind was not on driving.
It was
That's
not.
a perfect example.
Yeah, literally, because we're not present. Mm-hmm. We're not practicing any mindfulness skills. And so, ask the Israelites. I'm just gonna jump because the Israelites are the perfect example what it looks like to have just a little bit of progress and think that you got the victory, but then you stay stuck in cycle after cycle after cycle.
One thing the Israelites gonna do is preach. I feel like we can talk about anything and we can always go back to the Israelites because they were something else. But honestly, in their defense, we do a lot of the same stuff that they do. Yeah, exactly. It just look different, but we do a lot of the same stuff that they do back then today.
Yeah, but it just looks completely...
Exactly. We're not wandering through the wilderness and being rebellious in the wilderness, but we're being rebellious and wandering in our minds and in our everyday lives and our hearts. Yeah.
Literally. And then be mad at God. Okay, I'm going to keep myself together because this part that gets on my nerves just a little bit as a humans. And then we be looking at God and we be mad at God because he ain't doing what we want him to do, but we ain't even doing what he asked us to do.
Right. Yeah.
But we mad. Make that one.
It don't make sense. It don't make sense at all.
I couldn't even get it out. You're like, it don't.
It don't. I ain't even gonna lie. It don't make sense.
Make that one make sense. So we are going, literally, the whole book of Judges literally preaches on this idea of us being stuck in a cycle. We have a little bit of progress. We don't allow God to finish the work, and then we fall into temptation. We are influenced. Okay, I'm gonna relax, by outside forces, and then we sin, aka we worship other gods. We might not be bowing down to Baal and statues, but we worship in money. We worship in men. We and women for my fellas. We're worshiping business, success, friendship, travel,
exactly,
life, vision,
all of it, all of the above.
I was trying to touch everything.
Right.
I was trying to touch on every little thing. All of the above. You got anything?
I think it's cool though, because there's hope in that as well, because it shows in Judges how committed God is to his plan. Because when you read Judges, you see like he's always rising somebody up, a judge, to save them and get them out of something that they created.
Okay.
So I just think it speaks to, like I said, how committed he is in our lives to finish what he started.
Yeah. It speaks to his kindness. It speaks to his grace. It speaks to his mercy.
Patience.
Oh, cause I'd be like, listen,
right.
Y'all got one more time.
Listen, I done told y'all. Zap, 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 zap. They definitely would have got
okay,
zapped.
like you got one more time,
That's
and
ridiculous.
then I'm just gonna leave you there.
Yeah.
You can cry out to me all you want. You can lose your voice. For all I care, because I'm gonna be like,
right.
What is wrong with you?
Right. Yeah.
That's why I'm not.
Yeah, that's why I'm not either.
Because
I can't do it.
I cannot do it. But let's talk about how the Israelites screwed up at the very beginning. Going back to, we see just a little bit of progress. Well, for them it was a lot. But we see some progress, and then we let our guards down, and we're like, whew, praise the God of the Bible, I made it. Won't he do it? We heck a Messiah. We shout, we cry, we boo-hoo, we tell everybody our testimony.
Right.
But we never let God finish the work, which is then how we end up stuck in a cycle, and sometimes back where we first started. So, if you read your Bible, please go read your Bible. Essentially, they were entering to the promised land led by Joshua. That's my dog. And God essentially told them that you need to drive out every single enemy in this land. Single one. But Judges 1:28 says, when Israel became strong, they pressed the Canaanites into forced labor, but never drove them out completely.
Yeah, that was the first mistake.
Exactly. Yeah. Because literally God knows that we are naturally influenced by people, by things. Right. And sometimes we aren't as strong as we think we are. I'm so far ahead of myself. Go ahead.
Because I'm even thinking like, even that's a theme throughout the Bible with the Israelites, because I think about even when King Saul was in power. No, actually before he was in power, they was basically like, we don't want you to lead us. We want like a king. And he was like, but I am a king. Like I am
the king of kings.
The king of kings. But they saw other nations and they were being influenced and they compared themselves to other people, and they felt like God leadership wasn't enough. Yeah. So they wanted a human king that they can physically see, and we see how that turned out.
Here we are.
Right.
Here we are today.
Exactly.
Still anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But that's real though. When we have that wandering eye, I wonder what would have happened if they would have obeyed God all the way through and actually drove out the Canaanites instead of celebrating and feeling themselves. Because now I get to oppress you. I went from being the oppressed to now the oppressor.
Right.
And, get your head swole, feeling yourself, feeling strong, feeling mighty, feeling powerful. And so all we're saying is that we have to allow God to finish the work. Because there's things lingering. Almost like, it reminds me of one time when Pastor was talking about how sometimes when you have a tree, we'll chop off the tree but not get to the roots.
Yeah. And
so when you chop off the tree, what does it do? It just grows. And you keep the roots, what does it do?
Just grow right back.
It literally just grows right back. And so many of us are out here chopping off the tree, and we're like, the Lord did it! It's shaking! Y'all not, like, you get what I'm saying? We're excited and running and jumping and doing all the things, but God's like, you still got a root system.
Hello! You still got to chop this root up. But that's real though. And I feel like also, a lot of times we get intimidated by the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just kind of stop where it's convenient, and we settle with that. Like, I feel like the Israelites just became content with settling for something less than what God promised them.
Yeah.
Like, he literally promised to make them a nation, but they're settling for just having this little corner of land and having to share it with other nations. And I just feel like it's probably because the fact, like, just settling among other nations was more appealing to them than having to fight for everything, you know what I'm saying, and wander through the wilderness for 40 years. So I just wonder how much of it is us being intimidated by the process and not allowing God to actually finish what he started because of that.
Yeah, and being fatigued. It reminds me of Gangsta Prophet. I stole this prayer from her, but she talks about having strength for the journey and praying for God to give you strength for the journey. I think oftentimes, just piggyback off of what you said, we're intimidated by the rest of the process, but we can also be tired because sometimes the process can be drooling.
Both of them.
Okay. Whatever the correct word is.
Right.
The process can very much so be that, and it's just like,
absolutely,
I'm just ready to be done.
Absolutely. And it reminds me of how we do this in everyday lives, like practical examples. Like, I mean, we're both single, right? And we're going through the process of waiting for eventually a kingdom marriage, but it can be, you know, it can be something, you know, sometimes, and just wanting that kingdom marriage. But yeah, so we do that in everyday lives as well. Like, that was just an example. Like, also we settle for like minimum wage jobs, right? When God promised us that we'll eventually make 6 figures, but we're settling for minimum wage jobs because we may not be able to see it in our right now, or whatever the case is, but the process to it is intimidating. So we settle.
Yeah, very much so. Just to say, whoo, I made it. I'm done. Praise our God. And he's just like,
you happy with that? I got so much more.
Literally, it's like that picture with the big teddy bear behind the back. Like, if I promise you, I got some. That's just a little bitty teddy bear. You know what I'm saying? And so that is very much so real. And so we just need to ask God to strengthen us.
Yeah, for sure.
As we continue to go through the journey, right? Whether that's singleness, whether that's you broke right now, whether that's you feel like you're not yourself, you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling filled with anxiety, or you're feeling like, dang, I'm just not confident, or whatever the case may be, right? Asking God to strengthen you for the journey so that I can get to where he's promised me and not settle for the first man that says, hey, you fine.
Exactly.
Or the first job that it might not be 6 figures, but you know what I'm saying, but it might be, you know, like $85K, you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So that we can then not settle.
For sure. And we also have to be honest with our fears, I feel like, because God tells us to cast our fears and our anxieties on him. But a lot of times we don't do that. We hold them tightly.
Right. Like he don't know.
And then we pretend like they don't exist. So it'll be beneficial for us to really, I mean, because he know anyway, right? He can obviously read our minds. So
knows the thoughts we have.
Right, exactly. So I think it would be beneficial for us to actually practice casting our cares and our fears on him about the process or whatever it may be.
Yeah, very much so. Because he can't, one thing, God can't heal what's not acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm not acknowledging my fears, my insecurities, my questions, or my even my doubts about you and the process, and if it's worth it, or whatever, then God, like, well, I can't come in and, well, I can, but I'm not going to come in and heal that, because then where's the testimony?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How are you going to be able to minister to somebody else if you ain't even really acknowledged it for real? You ain't really sat in it for real, and you didn't really bring it to me. I just zapped you,
right?
Cause I can.
Yeah, it definitely takes away from the testimony for sure.
Exactly. So we need to be able to acknowledge this. So when we are not honest about our fears, about the process, about how we're feeling, we can then begin to drift and not
away.
even away. Drift away. I feel like that's a song. Drift away.
I ain't never heard that one, sis. I ain't gonna lie.
I don't know. I be making up stuff. But yeah, we begin to drift and we don't even know.
That's the scary part.
That we are drifting. So it can look something, literally we all do this, right? So maybe you've been like consistent and intentional in your time of prayer. Like you consistently wake up in the morning and spend a certain amount of time with God in prayer. But then next thing you know, you start missing a day here or there. You start missing maybe 2 days here or there. You go from spending maybe an hour. I've done this before. I've gone for, because I usually set an hour in the mornings to spend with God. I've gone from spending an hour to, ooh, I'm tired. So we just gonna do this 30 minutes.
That's real.
And we gonna keep that bullshit.
No, that's real though. And also, sometimes we can find ourselves just pouring out our hearts to God, like in prayer. And the more we enter like different trials and stuff in our lives, before you know it, and we feel like God isn't coming through for us in the way that we think He should. Before you know it, our prayers start to get shorter. We start to not really open up as much. I've done this myself, and it's just, we slowly start to drift away, where we may even still be praying. Yeah. We may even still be worshiping, in the presence of God and all the things, but it can be where we just really stop pouring out our hearts to God and just become more closed off in prayer as well, and don't even realize it. Yeah. We start going, what I'm hearing in that is we just start going through the motions. Now that's a song, no? I don't know that. You're determined to get a song. to get a song in. But no, we literally start just going through the motions. Well, I'm doing this so I can say I did it. I can say I did it. So you can check off this. Yeah. I can check off this. But I prayed, Lord. At least I came. That's facts. At least I showed up. And the thing is, we're not doing God no favors. That's so when we worship, when we pray, that's for us. We're not doing it for Him. He's fine either way. We benefit from His presence. You don't benefit from ours. I'm sorry. He don't benefit from ours. So it's really like you said. That is hilarious. Okay, I'm sorry. But like you said, it's really going through the motions, because it don't benefit God for us to pray or to worship or whatever the thing is. He makes that available to us so that we can benefit from it. So when we're doing that out of just going through the motions, it's really pointless and we're wasting time. Literally, you might as well. It reminds me of when Auntie be talking about fasting. If you ain't did it, just eat your food. Yeah, exactly. Like you might as well stay in your bed. Like our pastor say, you just on a diet. If you're calling yourself fasting and you're not praying and in your word and stuff, then you just on a diet. Exactly, it's just pointless. You're wasting your time. So if you're going through the motions, then you might as well just. I probably shouldn't say that. But you might as well just not eat, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. And so that's a sign. Get back on point, Alexa. Get back on track. That is a sign. Spiritual drift. That I am beginning to drift. Another one. Ooh, this one is very easy with the day and age that we live in, where we drift from church, where it's now like, oh, I can just watch that thing online. Yeah. And then we tell ourselves there's no distance in the spirit. No, that's facts. then we begin to try to justify it. Go ahead. One of my favorites it's not really my favorite, but it's funny. God knows my heart. Yeah, He does. That's the problem. He knows our hearts. That's why we need to be in His presence. We need to be at that altar. Okay. And I'm not shaming online church by any means, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a huge difference. It's like a concert. Watching a concert on, like, you know what I'm saying, online than being in the building. It's completely different. And yes, God's spirit can go anywhere. There's no limits to Him. There is no bounds to Him. But there is just something about gathering in the community. Yeah, and being connected to other people who I like to say are glory carriers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you can lean on. I feel this one because I've lived this. And you can lean and pull on their glory, on their strength, on their faith, on their joy, all of the above. Go ahead. Absolutely, no, I agree. So yeah. So anyway, get to church. A real one. That part. Emphasis on the real one, because y'all should. Okay, here we go. Y'all should not be two-stepping at the altar. Y'all should not be walking it out. And it's a time and place for that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But in a sacred place where you're supposed to be in God's presence and honoring God and exalting God, that's unacceptable. Nope. So yes, that's all I can say. Like, no, it's not. Yes, yeah. It is very much so. I just took love way yeah when you said that.
It's disrespectful.
It really is.
It is disrespectful. Where is the honor? Where is the reverence? Okay, now I'm getting mad. Calm down. Where's the fear of the Lord? Why is God so
so common?
Literally what I'm about to say. I'm gonna get back to track. Go ahead. Why is he so common?
That's a whole nother topic. Yeah. It's the point for me.
I'm gonna focus because that's a pet peeve.
And it's funny because even when I wasn't in church and even when I did not know God, I still had enough respect not to play with him like that. I didn't know anything about God. I wasn't in church like that, but I would never go to church walking it out and two-stepping and doing right at the altar. Like even I knew that back, you know what I'm saying? So it's just unacceptable.
Agreed. But we gonna say on track. That's a tangent. We be here for an hour, just going in and going off. So, church drift. I'm now online, watching church online more than I'm going to the actual building. I'm telling myself, God knows my heart, and there's no distance in the spirit, and I'm gonna get the same word whether I'm online or in the building, and blah blah blah. You know, we start to justify and make up these dumb excuses. Another one, going through the motions in prayer, skipping your prayer and devotion time, signs that I am beginning to drift. Even your media input. Right? So let's say you whether you went on a fast or you went on a challenge and you were intentional about, you know what, I'm going to put this music down. I'm going to put this TV show down. I'm going to put some of these things down. But then next thing you know, you start picking them back up and now you're listening to it and engaging in that content more and more and more and more.
And on top of that, depending on what you're watching and what you're listening to, you may even start to feel less and less convicted.
Oh, come on.
So that's a huge,
that's scary.
That's a carnival. That's not a red flag. Like, you know how Tiffany Montgomery is? She said,
okay, carnival?
Well, basically, you know how we say that's a red flag? And she'd be like, that's not a red flag. You at a carnival. Basically.
Oh, like you a fool?
Like a whole bunch of red flags.
Listen. I'm like, you clowning? I'm over here like...
Basically, she's just saying, like, that's a whole circus. Like, that ain't just a red flag.
That's the word I was looking for.
I threw you off at the carnival. Your mind with the cruise.
I'm sorry, go ahead. But yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So basically what I was getting at was if you, like we were just talking about media, if you find yourself picking back up things that you once put down to spend more time with God or wherever the case is, and depending on what you're looking at, if you're starting to feel less and less conviction, that could be a huge red flag that you're drifting.
Yeah, that's a huge carnival. With all of the red flags.
It's like a carnival?
A carnival.
That is hilarious.
So to sum all of this up, right, what we are saying is don't get comfortable. Because oftentimes it is very easy to get comfortable in where you're at, in your routine, and blah, 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 and X, Y, and Z. And that's where you can get in trouble and the enemy can really sneak in.
For sure.
And deceive you.
He loves when we drift.
Oh, listen. Isn't that his whole goal?
Yeah.
That's why he plants thoughts of doubt. Mm-hmm. God, you ain't coming through.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get there. God, you just don't care about me. God, you don't hear me. You just completely forgot about me. Them ain't your thoughts. All right, I'm safe. Go ahead. I'm safe. Okay.
And honestly, if we really getting technical about it, I would even argue that the very first sin was because of drifting. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even talking about with Adam and Eve. I'm talking about when Lucifer was in heaven. He drifted away from God and he eventually got prideful to where he wanted to take God's place. So instead of him submitting to God's authority,
like y'all worship.
He wanted to be worshipped because he was drifting away from, being under God's authority. And here we are. Then obviously he influenced Adam and Eve to drift and so on, and it just kind of trickled down. So drifting is not no light work.
No, it's not. It's dangerous. It is dangerous because sometimes we can find ourselves so far away from God and experiencing things that God ain't never even wanted us to experience. And then we mad at God. And God is like, you are the one who drifted.
Right.
Why are you mad at me? Look at your own actions. Can we examine, all right, I feel it. I'm going to calm down. I'm a therapist, so, you know, it's my job to ask you to reflect and to challenge and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's not just a venting session.
That sounded personal.
Yeah, I got just a little bit.
You actually got to put some work in.
Got just a little bit triggered there. But can we, if I am feeling like I'm just so far from God and I'm even angry at God at some points, let's look at your own actions and see what role you played and I played and our own selves played and where we are today. I know we don't like that. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with your bestie, your boo thing, your mama, your daddy, and all of your siblings and cousins.
Bobo from up the street.
Bobo from up the street. Lil Pookie.
Right. Lil Pookie. I don't
Lil Pookie and them. Yeah. Y'all go be great. Stay free. And be intentional about getting your intentionality back.
That's hard. And staying grounded in God.
Literally. Doing the things that you did that got you to where you were. You have to continue that. That's it. That's all.
That's it.
We out.